When Steph is not out there, as you've seen, we may not close with Draymond. We might close with Al, Kristaps, maybe both of them. And Draymond has accepted that. He and I have talked about this, and he's handled it unbelievably well. He's told me, he said, I get it. If you don't close with me, I'll be all right. Like, that's where our team is. That's where I am. I'm going to stay ready, and that's exactly what he's done.
Look at this, Steve. You have a tall person on your team. That's kind of different and fun.
Yeah, it's pretty fun, seeing Kristaps out there. He's so talented, and yeah, he's the tallest player we've ever had for sure, and he's also can shoot threes from 30 feet. So he's a really intriguing player.
How quickly he has picked up the offense, and how much more do you have to still give Kristaps so he's fully up to speed?
Yeah, it takes time for sure. You got to get used to the terminology. We have to figure out ways to use them and what combinations we're going to put around him, and that doesn't just happen overnight. It has to evolve a little bit. So you could even see it. The difference from the first half to the second half was pretty dramatic. So it'll be good to get multiple games under our belt for him and for us.
I'm sure this will evolve as you go, but what can you tell the fans right now with regard to your plans for Kristaps in terms of minute restrictions, in terms of back-to-backs, in terms of starting or not? Like, where do you think this goes over the weeks to come?
Well, hopefully the minutes go up, but it all really is kind of day to day, and our training staff will determine that. He felt good after the game. We had a good practice today, and Kristaps took part in everything. So it's something that we'll just monitor day to day. But the hope is, and the plan is, for the minutes to go up. We just can't map it out exactly.
What's the status of his calf? I know he was questionable with Achilles. I think maintenance was the phraseology. How's the leg doing as opposed to maybe a month ago?
I got other stuff I've got to worry about. That's our training staff. He's in the training room every day. He's working with those guys. I just know that he's feeling well. He looks good. He's doing fine. But I don't really check in on, kind of the minute by minute status of his injuries.
Just as a basketball mind, when you imagine the idea of Steph Curry and Kristaps Porzingis being on the floor together, or a pick and roll, whatever it may be, what kind of goes through your head there?
Space.
Yeah.
That's the one word that comes to mind immediately. And we had some spacing issues. I thought, the guys did a good job of moving the ball, and we had 30 assists, and we took care of it. We were making good decisions, but we weren't generating great looks, and I think some of that was our spacing. And with Kristaps, spacing just happens automatically because of his shooting range, and also just how quickly he gets the shot off. So it is fun to think about what it'll look like when Steph and Kristaps are out there together, because Steph should have plenty of room to maneuver him.
And will that give Draymond some more runway to play with Steph and Kristaps? Because it seems like, Draymond right now without Steph is kind of struggling. Would you attribute that to not having Steph out there, or is this Draymond in a little bit of a tough spot right now?
No, I think it's directly related to not having Steph. I mean, the Steph-Draymond pick and roll is something that we've kind of built our team around for the last, decade. And it's one of the most efficient plays that exist in the NBA. And it's also pretty unique the way those two guys do it. It's not just a traditional pick and roll. There's all kinds of variations that come out of it. And because of Steph's incredible shooting range and gravity, people have to defend that in certain ways, and that unlocks Draymond's ability to catch the ball in the pocket and then make plays. And so when you don't have that, it means that you lose some of Draymond's offensive firepower, and and then teams play us differently. And so it's definitely been an adjustment period for all of us, but especially for Draymond, playing without Steph.
How do you see Draymond approaching the latter stages of his career? And as his coach, how do you approach how to put him out there and what situations you're looking at?
Well, it requires some introspection when you're getting older, and you can't quite do what you did in your prime, and that introspection is not easy. These guys are all so prideful, and being an athlete, you have to build yourself up. You have to convince yourself in some cases, that you can still do it. And the truth is, when you get older, some nights you can still do it and other nights you can't. And that's a really tough thing to reconcile. So as you go through it, you have to find that balance between maintaining confidence and then also being realistic and accepting the fact that there are going to be some tough nights. And I think what's so impressive for me watching Draymond is how he's handling himself as he goes through this process. It was a really tough game for him. And he maintained his poise and his composure. He maintained his energy on the bench. He cheered the other guys on. He was pulling them aside during timeouts, giving them advice and thoughts, and totally stayed engaged. And I think that's crucial that he does that, because we need him in a lot of different ways, but he's just not going to be able to do it every night like he once did.
So with that said, are you considering at all having this look a little different in terms of minutes, in terms of starting? Is that something you guys are currently looking at?
I think it's already looked a little different. His minutes are down some. I think, the one thing that we know as a staff is that when Steph is healthy, we're going to play pretty much all of Draymond's minutes with Steph. Just to make sure we are getting the most out of him offensively. But when Steph is not out there, as you've seen several games over the last couple of weeks, we may not close with Draymond. We might close with Al, Kristaps, maybe both of them. And Draymond has accepted that. He and I have talked about this, and he's handled it unbelievably well. He's told me, he said, I get it. If you don't close with me, I'll be all right. Like, that's where our team is. That's where I am. I'm going to stay ready. And that's exactly what he's done.
Would he be also all right if you didn't open with him? And has that been a consideration, at least in the short run, while Steph is out?
We haven't really talked about it. One of the things that we're trying to do is maintain some continuity. And if you start changing the lineup, especially with Kristaps coming in, it gets tricky. Now you start making multiple moves, then Steph comes back, hopefully a few games from now, and it's, now you're changing the lineup again. So we're trying to maintain some consistency and then just make our moves, within the game, depending on what's needed.
We get it. These circumstances are tough, but we've got to figure out a way to kind of handle it and play well and win. I'd love to hear more about that. How do you go about working on this and figuring something out with the absent stars?
Well, it's that's what our film session was about today. There's I think an energy and a collective competitiveness that you have to find when your stars are out, and it involves just really paying attention to detail. And we always talk about winning the battles, winning the small battles, and outrunning your guy down the floor, being the first to box out on the glass, the first guy to rotate defensively. And when you get five guys doing that together, you develop a different kind of confidence than you would normally rely on, which is, we've got Steph Curry, we've got Jimmy Butler, we're going to be fine. And so it really does require the group coming together and competing at a high level. And that means you got to win those battles. And that's what we're focused on.